I call upon Chairman Khrushchev to halt and eliminate this clandestine, reckless, and provocative threat to world peace.
It was towards the tail end of the Vietnam period. We were at sea for 52 days. One of our jobs was the Cuban blockade during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We were listening to the shortwaves and the teletypes and all of that, and we were all scared to death. I spent my last 2 years in the Navy on that ship and learned a lot about human behavior in stressful situations. My name is Robert Helmreich. I'm professor of psychology, and I'm director of the Human Factors Research Project. We're a group that studies how professionals as individuals and in teams interact in difficult, demanding professions such as aviation, space, and medicine. Humans are inherently limited, so we'll never achieve perfection. Among the factors that are interesting in professional culture are the fact that people wrongly deny that they make more mistakes under high stress, that they are affected by fatigue. No, fatigue doesn't bother my performance. That they can leave behind their personal problems when they get in the operating room or the airplane. And all of these, of course, are patently false. There are all kinds of things that make flying a little bit risky environment. That is, the captain of a flight is the ultimate authority, and the co-pilot is simply there to support him. Especially in the early days, the captain took no inputs from junior crew members. Much of my approach to studying behavior in accidents comes from analyzing the conversations that take place in the cockpit. I break them down into this the smallest coherent unit we call the thought unit, and then I code each of those units of communication as to who said it, to whom it is said, the purpose of it, and whether or not it's a complete utterance. Under high stress, a lot of communications never get through, so you can actually track a kind of breakdown in communication. This is every accident that's happened for the last 20 years.
They got carried away. It was in the movie they made.
This is the crash of a DC-10, which the center engine exploded while the crew was over Iowa. And the explosion destroyed all of the hydraulics, so the plane became uncontrollable. But the crew, with an amazing act of airmanship, managed to control the plane by going faster and slower on each of the two remaining engines. And they finally made a crash landing in a cornfield in Iowa. Starting in the early 1980s, somewhat based on some of our research, a program was introduced called Crew Resource Management, which trained pilots in effective communication, decision-making, and teamwork. And this has been credited with improving the safety of aviation a good deal. In aviation, your odds of dying are really minuscule. Only about 50 people per year on the average die in the Western world. In medicine, somewhere between 45,000 and 90,000 people died unnecessarily due to medical error. The problem in medicine is that, for example, the operating room is a highly complex environment with many people coming and going, and errors are not usually pointed at a single act by a single individual. So the most positive approach is to say errors happen, let's look at all the contributing factors and see if we can improve them. It's now been mandated in most organizations that doctors receive the kind of training that pilots do in interpersonal communications. It's being very well received, and I think we're going to see some real benefits of it over time. The rest of it is a lot of NASA reports and based on my research with the astronaut corps. We were asked to do a survey of the astronauts about their culture and about their peers. One of the questions that's often raised is how a small crew, 2 or 3, 4 people, cooped up in a space the size of a small hotel room would get along for an extended mission to Mars. And I think the conclusion is that all activities require teamwork and cooperation. Motivated people can get along well. Small groups have managed to to persevere, which is a great tribute to humankind.